My name is John, buddy Andy, and you're listening to the Packers Blitz podcast, the podcast done by two diehard Packer fans who survived the dark times of the 1980s Packers football and live to talk about it. This podcast is dedicated to the greatest fans of all, Packer fans. And, again, we love you, and we love you to have you on the show. Football is here. Yeah, baby.
And that was awful fast, John. That was the fastest intro ever.
We got the fastest intro ever, buddy.
Okay, so we're making it work tonight.
We are making this work tonight. All right, buddy. You're desperate for football too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And we're not talking about family night, correct? So anything you want to add on that? Moving on.
Now, that's old news. That's old news. There wasn't really anything out of family night. Nothing really. There was some nice.
It's just a practice. It's just a glorified practice with 65,000 fans in attendance. 65,000. That just just proves to everybody how great of fans we actually have.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
The greatest fan.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so John, Packers Blitz fans out there, everybody around the nation and the world, I'm so desperate for football that I did two things a few days ago that I thought I'd never do. And the first thing was because I thought that it was one of the better Packer games from last season, I rewatched the Christmas game against the Miami Dolphins, which I like to call a Christmas miracle. and a personal Christmas present for me and everybody else out there. If you were watching the game, it was great to see them win and beat Miami because I don't think anybody gave them a shot.
No,
but when as I was watching it and after I watched it, I was wrong. I really don't think it was one of our best games. So just rewatch it if you can. The Dolphins basically gave us that victory with a fumble by I think it was Raheem Mostert and 3 interceptions by Tua Tagovailoa. I think they all came in the second half, and they were total gifts. He threw 3 passes right to our defenders and not even close to any of his receivers. So one of them especially was to Jair Alexander. I mean, it went perfectly to him, right in his gut. And it was a total gift again. And again, nothing that Jair actually did. He just happened to be at the right place at the right time. So, and our defense was so porous. I can't believe the Dolphins head coach, I think his name is Mike McDaniel. Man, I can't believe he didn't call more run plays. The pass defense gave up a lot of wide open passes over the middle. Jalen Waddle had a catch for an 80-yard touchdown pass, and he caught it like on a crossing route, maybe 10, 15 yards down the field, and he took it to the house, 84 yards,
right,
with nobody even touching him. And it still amazes me to this day that even happened. I'm just venting right now. I'm just got to get it off my chest. So watching it, it was kind of amazing that we even won. But we did get a 94-yard return from Keyshawn Nixon, of course, which was pretty cool. He didn't score. And then the funny part was, even when he got us down to the 4-yard line, we didn't score anyway. But again, a total gift of a game. We ended up winning the game. It was a fun game to watch. But when you go back and watch it, you're like, how did we win this game? I think I'm going to go back and watch the Dallas game, and there's the Minnesota game again because I just like watching the Packers.
Yeah, the Dallas game is by far.
I'm going to watch that game over again.
We played. Yeah, Dallas game is by far the best.
Yeah, I didn't choose wisely. The kind of quote of Indiana Jones movie. I think it was, what was it? The Last Crusade. Yeah, I did not choose wisely. And then the second thing I said I'd never do was watch every second of a Packers preseason game. But I did that on Friday night against the Bengals. And actually, my wife and my son Nolan were kind of wondering, what are you doing? Why are you still watching the game? Because I promised you, John. I think I texted you. I said, I'm going to watch the game if I can.
Yeah.
I'm going to find whatever station it's on. I will watch it. And I watched every second. So the thing is, I can't stop the game because I'm not recording it. I'm watching it live. Right. So, because of that, I literally had to watch every second where, I wasn't running to the bathroom or anything like that. We won't get into that, or going to the fridge too often. I was trying to pay attention to the game the entire time. So we've got some really good information on that coming up shortly. So
we
John.
So obviously I have I can stop it and fast forward it. So I'm one of the lucky ones. Because there were some parts of it you're like, what's going on? This is horrible. But again, I watched the preseason game like yourself, watch every second of it. Well, fast forward through commercials and stuff. Andy, we need a tight end. Tyler Davis is most likely done for the season. He had a devastating knee injury, tearing his ACL. According to PFF, that's Pro Football Focus, folks, Davis led the Packers in special team snaps, 344 last season, and finished tied for the third most in special teams tackles. So, Mercedes Lewis, I know you're with the Bears right now, but
it needs to be on speed dial, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I don't think Mercedes can play special teams though anymore, so that would be an issue. But
we're going to need some help off of that because, I really felt that Musgrave did pretty good. There were some things in there I was like, yeah, he's a rookie. And then the other one, Tyler Bates, correct? The other rookie, he looked like he was like deer in the headlights. So anyway, so
we'll talk a little bit about that. But there's this Austin guy that we have that's 6'8". We'll talk about him lately. And he was playing. So he may, actually maybe not be the next Mercedes Lewis, but he's kind of in that mold. Big dude. So
he's a big guy. The other thing was Simone Biles was at the game to support her husband. Go Pack Go. She looked great in green and gold, by the way. And she won the U.S. Classic Gymnastics meet we talked about in episode 31. So congratulations, Simone. That's awesome. Now, this is another thing that I saw that just blew me away. Who the heck, Immanuel Wilson? Man, get that man, Wilson. Get that guy the ball. He looked like I was. It was funny, Andy, because I was sitting there, leaning back, drinking my beer, and I see this guy I think it was in the fourth quarter. He just scats out, he moves, and all of a sudden he's gone on the sidelines, and I go, who the hell is that guy? And this kid ran all over the place. I believe he is a free agent pickup from like some Division 2 or 3 school.
Division 1. He's Division 1.
Division 1?
I think so.
Okay. I thought he's Division 2. Anyway, that was unbelievable. The other thing I really liked was our defense looks fast. Okay, so normally when you look at our defense, and who knows what will happen, right? But our defense just looked like Valentine and Keeson Nixon and all these other linebackers that were in there that they were moving in and out, like McDuffie and so on and so forth. Our defense just looked like, wow, they look fast. And except for a couple of screw ups here and there, which happens in, the preseason. I really, really loved it. However, I'm stealing your line, Andy. However, Lucas Van Ness still has a lot to learn. There were plays, and again, you can go to YouTube. They have different clips where he would run himself out of a play, or there were times where he was just trying to manhandle tackle when he should just pick him up and throw him out of the way. He was like trying to dance with them. It seemed like it's like, no, dude, you're pocket Hercules or little Hercules, whatever the hell they call you. Just beat the guy, bull rush him, knock him on his ass, and get in there and get the back. So, one more thing, Andy and I will go into further details into the game, like I said, and we're going to pick our Packers Blitz player of the game. So, let's get right into the highlights. Andy, take it away.
Yeah, so the Packers won, everybody. Packers victory over the Bengals, 36-19, I believe the score was. Their kicker kicked a lot of field goals. So basically we'll go through the game recap right now. The team looked good, like John had said. The offense was efficient in the red zone, scoring 5 touchdowns. Most importantly, there was consistency and not a lot of 3 and outs. The defense bent, but it didn't break by giving up a ton of field goals, like we had just talked about. The only opposing TD was a pick 6 thrown by Sean Clifford, which, is going to happen. He's a rookie and whatnot. He did look pretty good, though, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But he did throw that pick 6, which is not on the defense, and that's why I brought it up. Our defense actually played pretty well overall. We're very, very aggressive, which I like to see, and fast.
Yeah,
like John said. So here's some of the takeaways, John, Packer fans out there, Packers Blitz fans. Matt LaFleur has talked about how it's a process. It's process over results right now for Jordan Love, with the thought being that if the process is consistent, the results will follow. Well, it looks as if we all saw Jordan Love executing the process part of the equation in Cincinnati. He was poised, had command of the line of scrimmage, went through his progressions, and made good decisions. John, you got any comments on Jordan Love? It's one of our takeaways. I thought he played pretty good, pretty well.
Yeah, he played pretty well. The key moving forward is, and fuck you, Tom Brady. He lived through, like Tom Brady. He did the dink and he did the lip, but that's okay. If anybody's going in the regular season, dink and dunk, move the, put the run in there and stuff. That's how Tom Brady did his career. That's how he won Super Bowls, folks. He didn't go deep hardly at all until he got Randy Moss on his team. And that one where he threw it to a Watson down the sidelines where I thought it was 6, and that safety, if that last safety second is 1 second late, even a second late, that is 6. So
he probably should have thrown it more to the, what do they call it, the boundary toward the sideline. But that's just being picky. It actually wasn't a bad pass, and it pretty much hit him in stride. He wasn't slowing down for it.
No, he was not.
And so it was a pretty darn good pass. Maybe just a hair too late, but that's just it was good to see it. Right? That's the NFL.
It's very good to see that
game of inches. And you're going to bring
this.
That pass was broken up just at the last second. So most of his passes, John, like you said, were within 5-10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and that was it. Even the touchdown to Dobbs,
there's nothing wrong with that.
They were at the 10-yard line when he threw it. So that was actually one of his longer passes. So
and the one that he missed, the Musgrave.
We'll
I know
talk
he
about
wants
that in a minute.
Back. And you'll talk
wide
about that
open on
Romeo
third down.
Dobbs throw. So talk about both of those, because those were NFL throws, folks. Those were especially the Dobbs was a good one.
If anybody out there goes on the internet, you'll actually either hear a soundbite or see something from Colin Cowherd. I'm just going to bring it up. I wouldn't normally do this because
Oh,
we don't like
come
he was ripping in the Jordan Love that he was just
Of
dinking
course
and
he was.
dunking and couldn't make a long pass and whatnot. And it's like, give me a break. And then when it came to that one play where he has to make the throw and he's wide open, you got to make that throw.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta make that throw.
normally you do. But he was
Mm.
he still was 7 for 10, and he didn't go into any of the positives. He just brought up the one negative, and that was,
Of course he did.
you know,
Because he's a
so
punk.
that was the whole thing. So I mean, it was ridiculous,
Yeah.
and he did talk about that a lot in his show today, and he's been talking about it actually a lot on his show the last several days. But it's pretty ridiculous. Give the guy a break. Let give him a chance. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
If he's
Right.
playing, crappy during the season, then fine. But I mean, the guy
Okay.
was 7 of 10 with a touchdown
Right.
pass. Give me a break. He only played a
Right.
few series. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Moving on.
So moving on. So second takeaway that I had and a lot of other people had, there may be some ups and downs, but the Packers young wide receivers are an exciting group. Christian Watson, we just talked about him, can get open deep. Romeo Dobbs is really good at creating separation as a route runner. Jaden Reed brings more speed and makes contested catches, just like he did at Michigan State and against the Wisconsin Badgers a lot last year, by the way. And very interesting, he also returned punts in the game. So yeah,
and
he
hold on a
seems
second.
like
I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Didn't you love? He did not. He caught one where he could have ran to the sidelines. He could easily done that. He caught one and he just ran right in the middle of everybody, and then he couldn't get anywhere, and they ran to the sidelines.
Well,
And
the
he
key
did
too,
something.
John, is he caught the ball and didn't fumble it like Amari Rodgers.
Yeah,
That's all I'm gonna say on that.
The other thing that shows me that this guy could be something was there was a pass, I think it was in the second or third quarter, I can't remember, from Clifford to Jaden Reed, and the corner totally grabbed Jaden Reed's arm and was dragging on him, and Jaden Reed still reached out and was still be able to get the ball, but when he couldn't get it, he stopped and he made like a motion to throw the flag for pass interference.
That's like, yeah.
Yeah. Now most
I remember that.
rookies typically don't do that because they're told, they're not going to get the call. But he not only got the call, but it was the right call, because that corner was from Cincinnati, just manhandling him and just dragging on his arm that he couldn't move it. So I like what I see so far. We'll see if that continues, but that's a veteran move. That's smart. He made it blatant enough that even the ref could not miss that. I mean, if they would have missed that, that would have been like, oh man, you missed quite a bit. So anyway,
there was even an article today. I wasn't going to bring it up, but they said that Dobbs better be looking over his shoulder too. That Jaden Reed's been so impressive that he might take reps and snaps away from him as well. So I don't see that happening though, because Dobbs looks pretty good himself, and he has a pretty good rapport. Yeah, I didn't understand that whole article, but there was an article out there that was talking about that. I was like, what?
Of course.
I don't know. Yeah, right.
All right.
So our young, exciting receivers. So Samari Toure consistently makes plays and looks much better than last year's version. Dontavian Wicks led the team with 3 catches for 68 yards. Malik Heath had a night, catching 3 passes and blocking Cincy's one of Cincy's DBs for 30 yards down the field, it looked like, and out of bounds. They replayed that several times. I was like, holy crap. Saying crap a lot tonight,
did you hear what he...
But he's been really good at that.
Yeah, Malik, he said, well, it's time for me to be a goon and take over.
Yeah.
For blocking people.
A goon.
Because remember when we had
Lazard.
Lazard, where he knocked everyone on their butts, especially in that Miami game. He knocked 3 guys out.
3 guys down on one block. Yep. Yeah, and then he did say he was like pointing at him. 1, 2, 3.
He got fined for that, by the way.
Yeah, we're lucky he didn't get a flag on that either, because that was a big play in the game, but we won't talk about that.
And there was a fullback. I got to rub my eyes. Did I actually see a fullback, Andy?
Yeah, that actually might be a position in the NFL again. So Henry Pearson made a nice block on the edge to spring Immanuel Wilson on his third quarter TD run. So did a nice job to get him to the edge. And then you got DeGuara again. Is he a tight end? Is he a fullback? I don't know.
I don't know.
But Pearson, was also playing special teams. DeGuara plays special teams. So it's going to come down to, who can play, special teams, because we're going to need them now that we lost that other
Tyler
tight end,
Davis.
right, John? Yeah.
Tyler Davis, yeah.
Talking about tight ends, we used a lot of 2 tight end sets. However, the Packers are running out of healthy tight ends. We just talked about this.
Yeah, they are.
And so again, hopefully, some of the guys will step up. So since last week, the starting safeties were again Darnell Savage and Mr. Biles, Jonathan Owens. During the game, he was the new starter, and so that was new. That changed, though, in practice on Sunday, by the way. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Jonathan didn't have his best game, and so we'll talk about that. But he did start the preseason game. So, and then I thought Dallin Lovett had a good game. He was always near the ball, had a pass defense, then an interception. He's also a big special teams player for us, so I figured I'd mention him. 6th takeaway, just like Packers Blitz is all about blitzing Packers fans with a lot of stories and information on their favorite football team. The aggressive Packers defense blitzed a lot throughout the night. Great to see.
Did.
Isn't it, John? They need to do that. They need to do that.
And my boy Tyler Kraft was in on some of those. I mean, Carl Brooks. He was
Carl
in on
Brooks.
Some of that. Carl Brooks, excuse me. Yeah, he was in on some of those. He had a really nice game, I thought. He had some nice push.
Yeah, the guy that I really like, Brenton Cox, had a good game as well.
Yeah.
So we'll bring that up a little bit too. Yeah, a lot of our defensive tackles, a lot of our defensive linemen had a good game. Devontae Wyatt did not, but a lot of them did. So actually, he had the worst PFF rating in the game for our defensive tackles.
Yeah, I saw that. That was interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up, but on a positive note, most of our guys played really, really well, really, really stout, and put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which is great. It's great to see. So last thing I wanted to mention, lucky 7, our rookie kicker, Anders Carlson, was having a fantastic preseason game up until he missed 2 consecutive extra points wide right. Wide right seems to be the direction that Anders seems to miss a lot. He pushes the ball. I saw assistant head coach Rich Bisaccia chew him out and motion with his arms to come through the kick. So he kind of motioned, that come through motion.
Yes.
And so this all reminds me of the movie Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. The Miami Dolphins place kicker in the movie had a problem wide right, and the laces not being turned out by the placeholder. So, laces out, John. And so, by the way, punter Pat O'Donnell was the holder on both misses. Overall, kicker Anders Carlson did make a 45-yard field goal and 3 out of 5 extra points. So it wasn't a total.
Yeah, it wasn't a total loss.
No, I mean, he looked really good up until then. They were even complimenting him, and then he pushed a couple to the right again. So what you going to do? Got to make adjustments though, and this is how it's going to be with a rookie kicker, John. Just like hopefully, yeah. So is
and you
what
know
it
who
is.
we have on speed dial.
Yeah, 15 years with the club, right?
Yeah, we won't get into it because we want the poor guy. Give the poor guy a break. Let's just, Crosby.
And then there was
relax.
And then there were a lot of players that we just wanted to watch again and again. If you tape it, Packers again, new starting quarterback Jordan Love, efficient and control, accurate. Again, he did miss Luke Musgrave for a third down conversion, wide open, coming across the middle of the field, and so John, Luke was open quite a bit again. He's your guy, big, fast, good blocker, great route runner. He could be really, really good this year for the Pack. Really good.
Yeah.
And man, I think you're right. He could be the next star tight end in the mold of a Travis Kelce or a Dallas Goedert. Yes. Typically, and I keep seeing this over and over again, they keep mentioning Dallas Goedert, but man, if he's either one of those guys,
either one.
That's a great pick for the Packers then. So
and
then back to Jordan.
Just really quickly though, I am a little bit worried about Tucker Kraft. He looked a little slow, like I said, and he
out of sorts.
Yeah, he just didn't look like he knew. It wasn't that he didn't know what he was doing. You could tell he was thinking too much because he ran a route. And then he was like, "Am I supposed to be here?" Kind of look like, and they were like, "No, you're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be over here." So we'll see how that goes. And he still has injury issues on his ankle, I believe, or knee. So we might sit him this year, and then we will have to go after and get a tight end because we can't just have Musgrave and that 6'8" guy and who else. We don't got anybody else, so he's got
exactly. We don't.
So anyway,
we really don't. Not anymore.
So
so basically, Jordan was 7 of 10, like we had talked a bit about before. He threw a 10-yard TD pass to Romeo Dobbs. Again, they've got that great connection. So a really positive night for Jordan, I thought. So don't listen to Colin Cowherd on that. And then our backup quarterback, Sean Clifford, looked the part of a NFL quarterback. He was very resilient. Even when he made mistakes, he had a couple interceptions. He came right back and made plays. He's more mobile than I thought. He ran twice for 27 yards.
Right.
On one play, I don't know if you remember this one, John. Clifford totally faked out a defender right out of his jock strap. Overall, he was 20 for 26 for 208 yards and a touchdown pass. And he did have the 2 interceptions, but I mean, overall, pretty positive night for him. And
who
John,
he reminds me of?
He's going to be our backup quarterback.
Yeah. He reminds me of Matt Flynn. Just kind of like that kind of swagger and that kind of, like, he doesn't have a great arm, and he's not that great athletic, but it doesn't seem like anything bothers him. Like, he threw those 2 interceptions, and he was like, okay, let me go out there. Oh, there we go. And he had a pretty good game, And if you remember Matt Flynn, when he was at LSU, he played all 4 years and wasn't really a starter for them until later on when they won the national championship at LSU. And he's just kind of that guy that just comes in and you can be like, not to say, so let's temper our enthusiasm here. Not to say this guy's going to be Matt Flynn anytime soon and come in and possibly win us 2 or 3 games if something would happen to Jordan Love. But he kind of still has that kind of swagger and kind of look Matt Flynn have, where he just doesn't seem like anything bothered him. It seemed like, okay, I'm going to get out there. And remember, Matt Flynn against the Detroit Lions threw 6 touchdowns.
6. Yep. I was going to mention that if you didn't. I was like, maybe there'll be a game that he throws 6. That got him a contract, I think, with Seattle, didn't it?
Correct, with Seattle.
And then they drafted Russell Wilson. And the rest is history there. He didn't start many games for them at all. Russell Wilson was their guy. They found out really quick. So
speaking of Wilson,
undrafted rookie running back from Fort Valley State. Fort Valley State. Where the heck is that?
What the hell?
Immanuel Wilson. Who is that? Ran for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked really fast on his 80-yard touchdown run. The Cincy defensive backs, several of them could not catch up to Immanuel. Supposedly, his 40-yard dash time was only 4.62 seconds.
Really?
I don't know if I wish we could find out how fast he was running on that play. They could probably do some video, whatever they do, and figure out how many miles per hour he was running or whatever. But he was cruising at 4.6. He had to be 4.4. Right. He was outrunning those defensive backs. You don't do that unless you're running super fast. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Looked really good on that run. That was an 80-yard touchdown run. So John, he gave me the impression that he could run a 3.1 second 40, which matches the number 31 on his jersey, by the way. So number 31, he's going to go down in Packers history, right? Number 31, get his number eventually retired. He looks so good. So Wilson looks elusive and like a game changer. If he can play on special teams, he has a chance to make the roster. There's always a chance. They keep saying, though, we're only going to keep 2 running backs, though, John. So he's definitely a feel-good story. Immanuel Wilson confirmed that Friday was the 14th anniversary of his father's passing, coinciding with his NFL debut. So pretty awesome that that he did that, went out and played so well, and was remembering his dad. So
good for him.
And then I talked a little bit about this before, but outside linebacker Brenton Cox, a highly recruited high school player with troubles in college, played really well Friday night. He put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I watched a play in which he made an incredibly athletic play and batted down a pass. John, if you recall, I mentioned him as a great candidate to make the team several episodes ago. He has the skill and talent to be a difference maker for the Green Bay Packers football team. As I was listening to the broadcast, I was disappointed to have the broadcasters mentioning Rashawn Gary as a playmaker and everything. They mentioned him a lot and a key cog in the Packers team. The reason I was disappointed, John, Packers fans, our defense needs to be more than one player. I know shutdown corner, Jair Alexander. I know you're thinking, he's a great player too. I'm not saying that, but they continually brought up Rashawn Gary being the guy, right? But on the defensive line, the defensive line has to put pressure on the quarterback. They have to be more than just Rashawn Gary. So I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
So, but they were bringing up him a lot, and he's off the PUP list, by the way, which is great.
Yeah. Thank God.
So maybe we'll see him in action soon, but I doubt they're going to play him at all in the preseason, and hopefully he's ready for opening night. So against the Bears. So Sports Illustrated mentioned that slot corner Keyshawn Nixon made a short-lived but immediate impact on the game. Of course, because Sports Illustrated brought that up. Now I have to bring it up. The first play of the game was a blitz in which Nixon came off the edge and sacked the quarterback. Moments later, he broke up a third down pass to force a punt. Nixon definitely set the aggressive defensive tone for the game. He only played a series, maybe 2 series, and he was out. So he wasn't there very long, but he made a big impact. So figured I'd bring that up. Cornerback Carrington Valentine had a monster game, playing for the aforementioned Jair Alexander. He was out with a groin, by the way. Valentine was all over the field with 4 solo tackles, 3 passes defensed, and 1 interception. Valentine is just another welcome addition to an already very, very deep cornerback room. According to Cody Williams of fansided.com, this is a quote from Cody. The tackling was the most impressive, with the Kentucky product showing a great football IQ to make a handful of plays against the run, something the coaches will surely be raving about. So because of that, John, and because of what Cody Williams said from the fan sided, um, and they were talking about this actually as one of the keys and one of the things to look for in the game. I think it was John Kuhn. Remember Kuhn,
John
the fullback? Yep.
Yeah.
He had mentioned Carrington Valentine before the game even started, and he demanded he step up. So he's my Packers Blitz player of the game. So, John, do you have one? Maybe it'll change my mind. Well, we should probably come up with a consensus on this, shouldn't we?
Well, we don't have to. We can each choose a different one. No problem.
What was yours?
Later,
mine was Carrington Valentine.
Okay. When we do regular season, then I want to pick one. You pick one. That's your defensive guy. Then I'll pick my defensive guy. We'll do that because we'll have a better understanding. So mine is Wilson.
Okay.
Immanuel Wilson.
Yeah, that's kind of the easy one, but yeah. You're right.
The reason why, though, is when he ran that 80-yard for that score, I mean, it was like a bunch of little kids watching their best friend, score a touchdown. I mean, the whole Packer bench erupted. You see Matt LaFleur had this huge smile on his face. And to me, that's what football is about, right? It is just to see someone probably not going to make the team, more than likely probably going to be a practice squad or a last-minute cut. But this guy had his moment in the sun, for an NFL game where that's going to be there forever. You know what I mean? He can show his kids that this is what dad did, and that's what I think in preseason. That's why I picked him, because I was just like, I'm just happy for a guy like that, because it's so hard to make the NFL roster. And these guys, especially from Fort Valley State.
Yeah. Where
they are. Yeah. That's what makes football great. That's why I love football. So let's get on to the NFC 2023 NFC North position rankings, special teams, right? Is that what you want to talk about, Andy?
Yeah. I read the article and it just kind of made me upset. So I decided
here we go.
I throw it in there because we've talked a lot about the importance of special teams, and the Packers have to be better.
Yeah.
A lot of changes, but they need to keep the momentum moving forward, their upward trend. But there was an article from Detroit Sports Nation.
Detroit.
So
that's Detroit.
Yeah, and so they ranked the NFC North special teams position groups. The bottom line, what they said was special teams can make or break the NFC North race. I think could be the case this year because all those teams are kind of jumbled together. So just when you thought the Packers special teams had turned a corner and was trending upward, you get this article from Detroit Sports Nation, and people out there are not going to be surprised who they picked number one, by the way. But at number 4, they had the Packers dead last in special teams rankings. At 3, they had the Bears. At 2, they had the Vikings. And at number 1 in the division is the Lions.
Yeah.
So, John, do you have any response to this article? I was going to go into in-depth for each team, and I was like, nah. But it just kind of burns me that they ranked the Packers last. I think they had made quite an improvement last year in special teams.
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
They do not have Mason Crosby this year. And that was part of the reasons that they put him lower because of Anders Carlson.
Yeah.
But we have a pretty good return guy in Keyshawn Nixon. I mean, he's one of the top guys in the league. They've got a guy on the Lions. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's ranked, I believe, number 5. So he's no slouch either. So you could debate and analyze it, but having the Packers ranked number 4, I think, was kind of a slight.
I do too. And that's what happens when you go to a hometown newspaper. They're going to be looking at it like, I don't know, with their own view and kind of a narrow point of view. And, the Vikings special teams is not that great. Bears is not that great. I kind of lump us in, I would say, if you put the Packers anyway. I would put us at 2. I'd put the the Bears last, because the Bears just don't seem to. I don't know. Their special teams always just seems like, they're there. They do enough, but not a surprise. But I will say, with Lions fans, be careful. Everybody's looking at you. Did you know, Andy? I read this article saying that the Lions are going to be in the NFC Championship game against the 49ers. And I just went, huh?
There's some people picking them to make the Super Bowl, John.
I'm like, huh?
Detroit's never been to the Super Bowl, you know?
Yeah. And remember this. Remember when people were like picking the Cleveland Browns, which are perennial losers, picking like I'm trying to think of another team that's a perennial loser that can't help it to be picked all the time. Well, even the Eagles, and I know Eagle fans, you're like, well, we have a heck of a team and we're going to go back to the Super Bowl. Yeah, you can. But how many Super Bowl have you won, Eagle fans? One, I think. Right? Am I right? Have they won even one Super Bowl? I have to look that up. How many?
Well, you got the Chargers, who they haven't. Yeah,
but
there,
the Chargers,
but they are a winning.
They're not perennial
organization
losers
for the most part.
Been good and good enough.
Right.
Yeah. The Bengals, I would say, well, in the 80s,
the Bengals,
losers.
They used to be.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I always just think about with the Browns, right? Oh, they got their quarterback now. Oh, they got, when they had OBJ, and what?
Well, the Houston Texans, they haven't been very good either. So for a long time.
Yeah. So 2018, I should remember this. 2018 is their only Super Bowl win against Tom Brady. And the Patriots. Yeah, so they have won Super Bowl. So, I mean, I don't know. And it's like the Jets too. We won't get into that, but it's like the Jets too. Everybody's looking at them, and that's not always a good thing. So anyway, let's talk about some trouble with the Packers, shall we?
Yeah. Yeah, we shall, because
sorry,
it's kind
Packer fans, but
this is kind of a follow-up to what we had talked about in previous episodes. That's the only reason I brought it up, because there was some more information that came to light. And so there's some news about some 2 former Packers that are in some trouble, and a current Packer too. So former Packer inside linebacker Blake Martinez, we had talked about him, and he's retired now.
Millions.
Blake's seemingly flourishing Pokemon card business took a dark turn as Whatnot social marketplace flagged suspicious activities tied to Martinez's account, Blake's Breaks. Subsequently, and I quote, "This account has been permanently removed," end quote. A recent Reddit video even shared one of the ways Blake Martinez's company allegedly scammed Pokemon card collectors. So yeah, he had great success since he's been out of the football with his new company, but he had a little bit of a setback there and got himself into a little bit of trouble. So yeah, any thoughts on that, John? Or move on to the next one.
On to the next.
Well, we were talking about Blake, and then I figured I might as well bring this up because it hasn't been all,
Oh, sure.
going too well lately for him. So, so then the second Packer or former Packer is Green Bay Packer legend and first ballot NFL Hall of Fame quarterback, Brett Favre. So, John, you had mentioned this in some previous podcasts. I don't like talking about this stuff, but something came up just recently, so I figured, I didn't know whether you saw it, so I figured I'd mention it. Brett is embroiled in an alleged fraud scandal resulting in dealings with Mississippi government funds. And his problems do not seem to be going away. John, Packers fans, if you're interested in learning about the specifics of this dumpster fire of a scandal, then please read the article last week from Bro Bible. So if you look up Bro Bible and some of their articles, they talk about it in more depth. I'm sure you can look it up on the internet and figure it out.
Yeah.
Of course, Brett Favre is trying to fight the lawsuit, but he suffered a huge setback last Thursday. Then the Mississippi Supreme Court ruled that Favre will continue to be a defendant in the case. He wanted out because he repaid more than $1 million he received for personal appearances that he allegedly did not make. However, he still has not repaid the additional $6.7 million that he allegedly misappropriated in welfare money. Allegedly. It appears that the case will proceed to a civil trial with Brett Favre certain to be compelled to testify. As of now, he is not facing criminal charges. So I figured I'd bring that up. And you know, John and fans out there, you probably, I love what, Favre did for the Packers. I love watching him as a player. This just kind of gives him kind of a literally a black, and figuratively a black eye. Which is not good. But I figured I'd bring this up I don't know if you had heard about it, John.
Yes, I've heard through all this, and he keeps fighting it. And
John,
the guy's just got to know, like, come on, enough's enough. You stole from poor people. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, and he keeps saying that, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. It's just come on, man, stop it. If I was
funny,
his friend,
it's not funny, but it was funny in the articles. Allegedly. And the thing is, I'm just going to say this, John. I don't know why, if you have millions and millions of dollars that you still haven't given back, why didn't you just do it right away?
Exactly.
If that was actually the case. And then maybe he wouldn't be where he's at right now, but we're just going to move on. Time to move on.
Move on to Mark Murphy.
And then there was an article. The current Packers CEO, Mark Murphy, has been named as a defendant in 2 new Northwestern University lawsuits, according to ESPN. 4 former football players filed lawsuits last Thursday. Thursday was a busy day last week, by the way, John. Allegedly hazing and mistreatment. Murphy was the athletic director at Northwestern from 2003 to 2007. Since July, a total of 13 former football players have come forward to file lawsuits. So, John, anything else on that depressing news that you want to talk about?
No, other than hazing, just hazing has changed. When I play football, like people would the seniors would, they would put us holding tackling dummies and run as fast as they could into us and knock us down. So I was like a freshman. I was like 140 pounds soaking wet. And this 220-pound fullback guy would just come running and just knock me on my ass. Well, that's hazing, right? In today's world, that's hazing. Back in my day, that was shut your mouth and get back up and take it. And quit if you don't like it. And I was kind of like, that's what's changed the days. And I think it's a good thing because people have died from hazing. I don't even more depressing. But there was a few years ago, there was this kid and he stuffed some socks down his mouth and they taped him up to a goalpost and they left him there. Well, couldn't breathe. It was a hot summer day and he
asphyxiated.
Died.
Yep.
Yeah, he asphyxiated and he died.
This
was a number of years ago. I think it's some school. I won't even get into it. So,
amazingly stupid. The latest camp storylines, there's a couple things I wanted to mention. First thing, important thing with the season-ending injury to tight end Tyler Davis. tight end Austin Allen, who we talked about earlier in the podcast, now has a chance to capitalize on extra opportunities. He made a key downfield block again to allow running back Immanuel Wilson to get to the corner and score that touchdown, that 80-yard touchdown during the preseason game. Additionally, Allen has earned high praise for his special teams contributions in the preseason game as well. Like former Packers Mercedes Lewis, he is an enormous human being at 6'8" tall and 253 pounds. So hopefully he'll be able to help out.
Yeah.
Take over for tight end Tyler Davis, who unfortunately again is out for the year. But it made a lot of strides in Friday's exhibition game. Looked pretty good. So that's a good sign. The second thing I wanted to mention, in Sunday's practice, rookie Malik Heath is making some waves as a blocking wide receiver. Offensive tackle Rasheed Walker and defensive tackle Carl Brooks, who John really likes, are getting some reps with units higher up on the depth chart. So basically, John, Packers fans, they're like with playing sometimes with the number ones now. Bakhtiari has been out, so Rasheed Walker, I think, was playing some left tackle, and then Carl Brooks is also playing with the ones as well here and there. Even rookie safety Anthony Johnson Jr. stepped onto the field with Darnold, Savage, and the ones. That was probably the key thing I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Owens is not with the ones at the moment. Anthony Johnson Jr., because he played so well in the preseason game, is now playing with the ones.
Right.
So again, because Jonathan Owens wasn't a real standout, that's probably why Johnson's in there. Johnson had 3 tackles and a pass breakup that was almost an interception during the preseason game on Friday. Plus, Anthony Johnson Jr. had 3 tackles again and a pass breakup that was also an interception. And then he also played special teams and had 2 more tackles. His Pro Football Focus ranking was 11th out of 58 Packers on special teams, by the way. So really, really good job. So John, I love this. The Packers are making a statement that if you don't perform and make the most of your opportunities, you won't be playing, starting, or maybe not even on the team. John, any comments on those couple of storylines before we move on?
No, that's really, just we can move on. I think there's some really good things, now that, again, the Packers are saying, hey, man, everybody's got to be in. We don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. We can't rely on him. We don't have some other key guys. So we're a young team. And if you're not going to go out there and, bust your butt and make some plays, you're not going to be on the team. And I think that's a good thing.
Yep. I think our starting center found that out too, didn't he, John?
Yes, he did.
So yes, he did. He has some heat on him to perform a little bit better. Absolutely. If you can't even get the snap to Jordan Love, that's a problem, especially if it's a center. So they were having problems with the snaps for whatever reason. So to be quite honest, I don't think we care. Just, you got to make that happen. You can't be doing that, especially during a game. So you don't ever have to worry about that. So, so John, what conclusions did we have for today's episode 32 podcast? Well, number one conclusion: the Packers' first preseason game was hopefully a prelude to what we all we'll see a lot during the 2023 NFL season, which would be wins. All 3 phases of the game, offense, defense, and special teams, were consistently good. Second conclusion from tonight's episode: Detroit Sports Nation is hopefully wrong with its assessment of the Packers' 2023 special teams ranking, which is dead last in the NFC North, according to them. Third conclusion, John, you could write a television pilot for all the for a new legal drama called Green Bay Legal or Packers Lawsuits or Packers Defendants, right?
Yes.
And the fourth
Packers.
conclusion, I really, really like what I see at Packers training camp. The team is pivoting constantly toward players who make an impact, make plays, and are consistently doing what is called for. The coaches are not messing around. You don't produce on the field, your job is in jeopardy. Starter, first round pick, fan favorite, it doesn't matter anymore. So I like what I'm seeing during our training camp. John, any conclusions that you got from tonight besides all of our issues with the internet and equipment? And
yeah. We'll get this sorted out one of these days.
Yeah.
That's why people, if you continue to support us, maybe Andy and I can get a studio someday, and then we can be in a studio together, and we don't have to worry about, internet issues and all that fun stuff that all you podcasters have to deal with to listen to our show. My main thing again is we play New England. Is that Saturday we play New England? I'll have to take a look at the schedule here.
Saturday at 7.
Yeah. So we will see
at Lambeau too, John.
At Lambeau.
At Lambeau.
Right. So Bill Belichick, even though it's, he always says, it's preseason, I just want to look at my guys. Yeah, he still is a great coach. And even when he's going half speed, he's full speed, in my opinion. So we will see what happens this week, who steps up, who kind of goes down. I'm hoping Tucker Kraft, I hope he can step up. If he is playing, he might be injured. Who knows? And I really see Jordan Love to take the next step. I want to see my boy Carl Brooks play with the first, see how he does. But other than that, I'm proud of what they've done so far. I'm proud that they're putting things in their rear view and focusing on what's most important, the people here and the young they have. So again, we love you, Packer fans. Listen to us at your favorite podcast, whether it be Spotify, radio, YouTube, us on podcasts on that. And like I said, we always need your support. So please support us by rating us 5 stars, commenting. That will help us grow. So Andy and I can maybe have a studio someday, and we can be in the studio and have to deal with
the Packers organization to hire us. That would be awesome.
Yes, we can take up for Larry McCarron. But anyway, anything for you?
We need like a big ad on the jumbotron at Lambeau Field.
Yes,
unfortunately,
we do.
I don't know if we could afford that. Packers Blitz. Just put our mugs up there and Packers Blitz. Yeah.
Anything else, Andy?
No, the only thing I did want to say before we leave, I'm really happy with our draft. We didn't mention that probably enough.
Yeah.
Well, we actually have, but there's a lot of diamonds in the rough, and a lot of those guys are playing pretty well. Yeah. And that's a lot of our late round picks, actually. Some of our 5th rounders, our sixth rounders, 7th rounders.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we had a 6th rounder. I think we had one.
Wow.
But they're playing really well. And so that's going to help us fill out the roster. And we're going to, hopefully that's going to help us win some ball games this year. So
absolutely. So Andy, always a pleasure. Love doing this with you, buddy. So go Pack Go until we talk to you next week.
Go Pack Go. See you, John.
See you, buddy. Take care. Love you.